The common logic is that if you want to shoot still images with fluorescent lights, you need to spend thousands of dollars for no flicker lighting equipment. In part 1 of this series, I showed you how to build your own 4-light fluorescent lighting rig for under $200. In this video, I'll show you how to use it to create high-end portraits and beauty shots, and even how you can mix in different types of light for dramatic effects. Hi, I'm Joe Edelman. So what's the big deal with this fluorescent light after all? For starters, it's very soft and flattering light that molds to your subject almost effortlessly. It's great for subjects who struggle with flashes, and, well, I could go on, but I'll let you decide for yourself by showing you how to put it to work. If you've taken a class in lighting or read a lot of textbooks, you've been taught that common household fluorescent lighting fixtures will not work well for studio photography. We're told it is because of the flicker. You see, fluorescent bulbs are gas-filled tubes. The gas is charged by electric pulses from a ballast, which in turn creates visible light. Because of the pulses, the lights are rapidly turning on and off. This happens fast enough that we generally don't see it with our eyes, but since the camera shutter works at a very fast speed, over the course of several frames, you will notice that not only does the exposure change, but the color quality also changes due to the pulsing of the light. The more expensive Kino-Flo lights use a different type of ballast that allows them to operate at a higher than standard lamp current and a higher frequency, hence eliminating the flicker. In the last video, I promised to give you the secret to eliminating the effect of the flicker with the inexpensive lights. And I will, at the end of this video. First, let's talk about how to use the setup. A quick note about color balance. As you know, fluorescent light falls in the pale green portion of the color spectrum. I mentioned in the first video that I use the cheapest fluorescent tubes that I can find. The reason for this is not just to save money, it's also because the fluorescent color balance setting on your camera is designed to work best with the cheap fluorescent lighting that we find in schools and office buildings. Now I have two basic arrangements that I use for most of the shots that I do with these lights. The first setup is traditionally called butterfly lighting. You can always identify butterfly lighting by the unique strip-like catch lights that you'll see in your subject's eyes. I place one of the 6 tube rigs on each side of the subject's face. This provides a beautiful and soft light that is flattering to almost any shape, face, and skin tone. Then from behind the subject, I add one rim light on each side. These rim lights provide a very subtle and pleasing highlight on the jawline. In this sample shot, the background is just a white wall that is 6 feet behind the subject. As you can see, it turns to a muddy gray without any lights dedicated to the background. There are an almost infinite number of possibilities for this background scenario with these lights. So I will show you just a few of mine with a few twists that you may not have considered on your own. The easiest way to lighten the white background is to move it closer. Here you see a white background placed just about 1.5 feet behind my subject. The background is brighter, but still not very exciting. This is where I like to have some fun and mix light sources. But remember, there are no rules, so don't tell me it's not good to mix light sources. Let's go back to using the wall as a background and add a Paul C. Buff Alien B400 as a background light. Keep in mind, even though this strobe is only 160 watt-seconds, it is much more powerful than the fluorescent lights. So I have it dialed all the way down to its lowest power setting. Now you see a clean white background. I used the same exposure setting and same color balance setting as in the previous shots. Now this is where some of you who feel that every shot has to be technically perfect and follow the rules will feel like your head is about to explode. We've already established that the fluorescent light is kind of a pale green. Electronic flash falls into the blue portion of the spectrum. But since the white background is bright and since we have the flash dialed way down so as not to throw light all over the room, all that happens is that the background blows out and you wind up with a nice high-key background. If you want to get creative, you can turn the flash way up and really blow the background out for an even more dramatic effect. Or we can switch to a black background with no flash. Or turn the flash all the way down and throw a blue gel over the flash. Or keep the black background and use an orange gel on the flash. Or switch to an orange background with no flash. Or use the orange background and light it with a flash. Or keep the orange background with the flash and add an orange gel. Or switch to a tan background with no flash. Or use the tan background with a flash and an orange gel. Or okay, I think you get the point. The possibilities are endless. Be creative, experiment. Don't be afraid to suck. You'll be amazed at what you might learn. I do want to show you one more variation that I create with my rig. There's no rule that says you have to use the lights from the front. This fluorescent rig makes a great softbox type light when used from the side. Just like with the backgrounds, there are endless possibilities that you can create here. Watch closely as I move the lights forward and further in front of my subject. Similarly, watch what happens with the light as my model slowly turns her face towards the lights. Then we can add one of the rim lights to separate her from the background. Or, if you prefer something more subtle, we can use a Walmart reflector for fill. Or, well, alright, I think you have the idea by now. One last detail that I want to be sure to point out to you. Notice the relationship of my model's head with the center point of the lights. I position my model in the lower half of the light so that the majority of the light is above her eyes. If you have your model placed too high on the light, you risk having too much of the light come from below her face and create top shadows on her cheeks and nose. This generally only looks good if you're photographing zombies. So there you have it. Now you know how to build your own fluorescent lighting rig and how to use it to create awesome portraits and beauty shots. If you find this information helpful, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. And what? The flicker trick. Oh, you mean you still want me to tell you how to eliminate the flicker from the common household fluorescent lamps? Okay, are you ready? Make sure you always use a shutter speed that is 1/125th of a second or slower. That's it. A shutter speed of 1/250th of a second, which is what most flash units sync at, will give you dramatic inconsistencies with exposure and color balance. Slowing your shutter speed down to 1/125th of a second or slower will eliminate that dramatic shift. And while you may occasionally see a very slight shift, it's nothing that can't be corrected very quickly in Lightroom or Photoshop. With my rig, I'm usually shooting at ISO 200, 1/125th of a second shutter speed, and f/4.5 lens aperture. Keep in mind, if you like to use a big heavy zoom like a 70-200, shooting at 1/125th of a second handheld may risk camera movement and blurry images for some shooters. If that's the case, use a monopod or a tripod. There you have it. I hope this information was helpful. Here are a few images that I've created with this setup. Visit my blog to see more. And please do subscribe so that you don't miss a single video.